At 3:12 a.m., the house is silent. No traffic outside. No voices in the hallway. No lights except the faint glow of the digital clock beside the bed. Your body feels heavy. Your eyes are tired. Your muscles beg for rest. But your brain refuses to turn off. Thoughts begin to appear one by one. Small things suddenly feel important. Memories from years ago come back without invitation. Regrets replay. Questions appear that never showed up during the day. You turn to the left. You turn to the right. You adjust the pillow again, still awake. Then comes the most dangerous sentence people tell themselves. I guess this is normal when you get older. But the truth is, it is not normal. Sleep does change with age, but chronic insomnia is not simply a natural part of growing older. Something deeper is happening inside the brain. And most people never realize it until their sleep problems become permanent. Tonight, we will break down exactly what happens inside the aging brain that makes sleep harder after 60. Why your mind becomes louder at night. And why most traditional advice fails to solve the real problem. Because once you understand the real cause, sleep becomes possible again. Inside your brain, there is a small group of nerve cells called the ventrolateral preoptic nucleus. Scientists often call it the brain's sleep switch. When this switch activates, it sends signals that calm down the rest of the brain. Heart rate slows. Breathing becomes deeper. Muscles relax. Thought activity decreases. You fall asleep naturally. No effort required. But here is what many people do not know. As the brain ages, this sleep switch becomes weaker. Imagine a light switch that used to click instantly when pressed. Now imagine that same switch becoming loose and unreliable. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it flickers. Sometimes nothing happens at all. This is exactly what happens in many brains after age 60. The sleep system does not completely disappear, but it becomes unstable, which means even when the body feels tired, the brain may not receive a strong enough signal to fully power down. This is why many older adults say, "I feel sleepy, but I just can't fall asleep." The problem is not motivation. The problem is neurological signaling. Another major factor appears at the same time. Stress hormones begin to behave differently with age. One of the most important hormones involved is cortisol. Cortisol helps regulate alertness during the day. Normally, cortisol levels are higher in the morning and lower at night. This natural rhythm helps the brain understand when it is time to be awake and when it is time to sleep. But as people age, cortisol patterns can become irregular. Instead of decreasing at night, cortisol may remain elevated or even increase. This creates a strange biological contradiction. The body feels tired, but the brain feels alert. And when the brain feels alert, it starts searching for stimulation. Thoughts begin to multiply. Memories resurface. Concerns feel more intense, and small worries become difficult to ignore. A simple question like, "Did I remember to call my friend back?" can suddenly trigger a chain reaction of thinking that lasts for hours. Many people describe this feeling as, "My brain just won't stop." But the brain is not misbehaving. It is responding to signals. Signals that have changed over time. Melatonin is another key part of the sleep system. Melatonin is often called the sleep hormone. It is released by the brain when darkness appears. Melatonin tells the body, it is time to rest. But research shows that melatonin production often decreases with age. This means the signal that tells the body to sleep becomes weaker. At the same time, the eyes become more sensitive to artificial light. Television screens, mobile phones, LED lighting. All of these sources can confuse the brain into thinking it is still daytime. Even small amounts of artificial light can reduce melatonin release, which makes sleep even harder. This creates a cycle. Less melatonin leads to lighter sleep. Lighter sleep leads to more awakenings. More awakenings lead to frustration. Frustration increases stress hormones. Stress hormones make sleep even more difficult. Night after night, the cycle repeats. Many people try simple solutions. Warm milk before bed. Watching television until feeling tired. Taking random supplements. Drinking herbal tea. Listening to music. Sometimes these methods help temporarily, but often the improvement does not last. Because these solutions treat symptoms, not causes. Sleep is controlled by multiple biological systems working together. Hormones, brain signaling, light exposure, emotional regulation, daily routine patterns. If one system becomes unstable, the others may struggle to compensate. This is why a single small habit change rarely solves long-term insomnia. The brain needs consistent signals, repeated patterns, predictable rhythms. Without these, sleep becomes unpredictable. Many people notice that thinking becomes stronger late at night. Questions appear that never showed up during the day. Old conversations replay. Embarrassing moments from years ago suddenly return. Why does this happen? During the day, the brain is busy processing external information. Conversations, tasks, movement, noise, decisions. These activities occupy attention. But at night, external stimulation disappears. Silence appears. Darkness removes distractions. The brain finally has time to process unresolved emotional material, which means thoughts that were ignored during the day become louder at night. For some people, this mental activity becomes overwhelming. The brain searches for closure. But closure rarely happens at 3 a.m. Instead, thinking continues without resolution, which increases frustration, which increases alertness, which delays sleep even further. Long-term sleep problems do not only affect physical energy, they also affect emotional stability. Lack of sleep increases irritability. Patience decreases. Small problems feel bigger. Motivation decreases. Memory becomes less reliable. Confidence can drop. Many people begin to worry that something is seriously wrong. This fear itself can create additional stress, which makes sleep even harder. The experience becomes a loop. Poor sleep increases worry. Worry increases mental activity. Mental activity delays sleep. Delayed sleep increases fatigue. Fatigue increases emotional sensitivity. Emotional sensitivity increases stress, and the cycle continues. Sleep after 60 does not need to be perfect, but it should still be functional. Waking up occasionally is normal. Needing slightly more time to fall asleep is normal. But lying awake for hours every night is not inevitable. The brain remains adaptable throughout life. Neural pathways can change. Hormone patterns can stabilize. Sleep rhythms can improve. But improvement requires understanding the system, not fighting against it blindly. Have you ever felt completely exhausted, but unable to fall asleep? If yes, you are not alone. Millions of people experience this every night, but very few understand why it happens. Understanding removes fear, and when fear decreases, the brain becomes more willing to relax. In the next part, we will explore 3 evidence-based adjustments that help support the brain's natural sleep process. Not extreme methods, not complicated routines. Simple biological signals that help the brain recognize when it is safe to power down. Because sleep is not something you force. Sleep is something you allow. When the brain receives the right signals, sleep often returns naturally.